I never thought my Jeep could become the center of a war, but one rainy night it vanished off my driveway, hauled away like junk, and when I traced it, I found out my own HOA president had forged evidence and teamed up with a shady tow company to rip it apart for her daughter. She thought I'd roll over, but she didn't know I had cameras receipts, and eventually the state attorney breathing down her neck. That Jeep wasn't just my car, it was the line between being bullied and fighting back. When Angela and I moved into Maple Creek Lane, we thought we'd found peace. Quiet streets, decent neighbors' trees that looked like postcards. But then came Karen Keller, the HOA president, who treated our cul-de-sac like her private kingdom. My Jeep Rubicon, a pristine white 2022 with lifted tires and spotless chrome, drove her insane. It wasn't the polished Lexus she loved showing off. It was loud, rugged, unapologetically mine, and to her it ruined the image she fought to maintain. From day one, Karen came after us. First it was the trash cans 3 inches too close to the curb, she said. She left a typed violation notice in my mailbox, complete with a $50 fine. Then the garden hose too visible from the street. Then the angle of my blinds. Every week it was something, and every week I buried her in paperwork. I read the bylaws like scripture, highlighted city ordinances, snapped photos of her own violations, and mailed them back certified. She hated me for it. We were in a cold war, but at least it was contained. Until the Jeep. One afternoon she marched up with a police officer in tow, a civil standby. Clipboard clutched to her chest, finger pointed like I was a criminal. She claimed my Jeep was in disrepair, lowering property values. I wiped my hands on a rag, stayed calm, and showed the cop my binder-dealer paperwork, ordinances, time-stamped photos, proof it ran every single day. Angela even streamed the live camera feed right there. The cop looked at Karen, sighed, and said, "Ma'am, he's not in violation." He drove off. Karen stood frozen, her face blotchy red fury simmering. She didn't yell. She didn't argue. She just stared at me with a promise. That was the day I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control. So we prepared. Angela upgraded our cameras, set motion alerts, even flew a drone for aerial coverage. She slipped an AirTag into the Jeep's roll cage just in case, she said. I cataloged every detail of the vehicle, VIN plates, condition reports, videos. It felt paranoid, but I knew she'd come back swinging harder. 3 nights later, during a thunderstorm, our cameras lit up. A hooded figure hurried into our driveway. Not a thief. Too deliberate. We zoomed in and saw her face. Karen in the rain, pressing an orange final notice, abandoned vehicle onto my windshield, then snapping a photo like a trophy. My gut turned cold. The sticker cited a city ordinance that didn't even exist. She was creating a fake paper trail. I wanted to rip it off and storm across the street. Angela stopped me. "Let her play it out," she whispered. And sure enough, at 1 a.m., headlights cut through the rain. A flatbed tow truck, Express Towing and Recovery, owned by Sal Gerald's brother-in-law. Gerald, the HOA treasurer, Karen's lapdog. Cameras caught it all, the driver hooking up my Jeep, winching it onto the bed, hauling it away under flashing amber lights. My stomach dropped watching my pride and joy vanish, but we had the evidence, and that AirTag pinging its location. It didn't go to their official impound lot. It stopped at a fenced yard in the industrial district, a place with no sign, just barbed wire and dark sheds. Angela looked at me, her eyes hard. "They're not storing it, Tim. They're stripping it." By dawn, I drove Angela's sedan to the yard. Inside, I found my Jeep parked near an open garage, wires hanging, bolts scattered. The tow driver, Sal himself, blocked me, demanded $3,000 in fees. When I pushed back, he shoved me hard in the chest. Pain flared, but my eyes locked on the Jeep. A diagnostic computer sat on the passenger seat, plugged into the ECU. They were already gutting its brain. I staggered back, feigned retreat, but inside I was boiling. For a moment, driving away, I felt crushed. What if I was fighting a losing battle? What if this was just me tilting at windmills against a petty tyrant? Maybe I should just let it go. Buy another car. Move on. But then I thought of Karen smirking on my driveway, her hand pressing that fake notice like she owned me. I thought of Angela, steady and brilliant, who refused to let fear win. No, I wasn't letting them take a damn thing. The turning point came from the most unlikely place. A few days later, I was pulled over in my neighbor's old pickup. The cop told me his scanner flagged my Jeep as stolen. But here's the twist. The plate and VIN popped up not on my white Jeep, but on a gray one tailing behind me. A cloned vehicle. They'd stolen my Jeep's identity to launder another stolen car. That's not HOA drama anymore. That's organized crime. Angela dug deeper. She scanned the fake orange notice under high resolution, comparing microscopic toner patterns. It matched perfectly with HOA financial statements printed on the clubhouse machine. Gerald, the treasurer, had printed it for Karen. The chain was complete. Karen the instigator, Gerald the enabler, Sal the muscle. We handed everything to Detective Miller from the Auto Theft Task Force. She didn't laugh. She leaned back and said, "You two have done more work than half my rookies." She wanted to bring them down, but we needed the right stage. That stage was the monthly HOA meeting. The night of the meeting, the clubhouse buzzed like a beehive. Neighbors packed the chairs smelling drama. Karen sat at the front in a blazer, smug as ever. Gerald fiddled with his glasses. Brenda sat blank beside them. Angela and I waited in the front row laptop bag at her feet. When Karen asked for new business, I stood. "I do." My voice cut the air. She sneered. "You have 3 minutes." I shook my head. "I'll need more." Angela plugged in the projector. The first image hit the screen, Karen in her raincoat planting the fake tag on my Jeep. Gasps, murmurs, phones lifted to record. Karen stammered, "That's doctored." Next slide, video footage, crystal clear, her sneaking in the rain. Then I held up the notice in a plastic bag, printed on the HOA's own machine, traced by forensic analysis. Angela flashed the side-by-side patterns on the screen. Gerald went pale, sweat dripping. Then the video of Sal's tow truck dragging my Jeep away at night. Neighbors whispered angrily. Finally, Angela played the drone footage, Karen herself swapping plates between the gray clone Jeep and her Lexus. The room exploded. Shouts, accusations, chairs scraping. Karen shrieked, pointing at Gerald. "He made me do it. I just wanted the Jeep for Kate." Gerald snapped back. "She forced me. She threatened my seat on the board." They tore each other apart, their voices cracking through the microphone. That's when the doors burst open. Detective Miller stormed in with uniformed officers. "Karen Keller, Gerald Fletcher, you're under arrest." The cops moved fast. Karen thrashed, screaming, "You ruined everything." I looked at her, calm, cold. "No, Karen, you did." And that was it. The house of cards collapsed. Sal's yard was raided the same night, 3 stolen cars, mid-strip VIN cloning tools, still warm. Karen lost her title, her Lexus, her grip. Gerald faced years of prison. Sal went down on federal charges. The empire of petty tyranny and greed crumbled in one night. Sometimes the worst battles start over the pettiest things, but bullies only win when you give up.